Hey guys, at Ultimate Reloader, we're huge fans of annealing. In this video, we wanted to provide you with a quick start. We're going to talk about why you should anneal. We're going to talk about the equipment that we use to anneal, getting it set up, demoing the annealing process, and cover frequently asked questions. If you're thinking about getting into annealing, this is the video for you. Hey guys, Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. This video is going to be all about getting started in annealing, covering questions that are frequently asked, demoing the process, and so on and so forth. So the first question you might be wondering is, why do I need to anneal? Well, there's a few key reasons, and there's more beyond that. But to put this in its simplest form, the first reason is to increase the longevity and the life of your brass. Every time you fire and then full length size your brass or neck size it, you're working the brass. Every time you fire the brass, it gets harder. Every time you size it, you're working hardened brass. That brass is brittle at that point, and that's where you get into issues like case neck splits, case head separations, that kind of thing. So if we anneal, we can optimize the hardness of the brass, and we can avoid the shortened life issues that we'll see if we don't anneal. Okay, the second reason is to increase the consistency and accuracy of the ammunition, right? As precision riflemen, we want two things. We want tight groups and we want tight velocities, right? The standard deviation and the extreme spread for your velocity. The lower that you can get those numbers, the less variation you're going to have at distance. If you're shooting at 1,500 yards and you have an extreme spread of 50 feet per second, you could be talking huge movement on target, right? Variation, vertical shot dispersion, essentially. By annealing, we can take some of those variables with the velocity equation and reduce those to a minimum. That, combined with great load development, will keep your velocities tight. So the third primary reason why I like to anneal is to get consistent shoulder bump and to have fast and efficient setup for your sizer die. If you properly anneal the brass, it will be softer than if it were work hardened without annealing for multiple firings, and that means less spring back. In some cases, zero spring back. So you can basically set your sizer die and essentially forget it. Okay, so I want to show you how annealing works and how to get set up for annealing, but before that, just know that there are multiple types of annealing equipment. There are options like flame annealing, which could take up more space. You might have to do it in an area where the flammability of the surroundings and safety in general is a concern, and setup can be a little bit more fiddly. Then there is inductive annealing. There's an inductive coil here inside the amp. This is the Mark II DB unit. There's a lot of advantages to inductive annealing. The annealing can be focused on a certain area of the case more effectively. It is more consistent because it's electronically controlled. And to set up, you can do something called analyzing a case, which is where you sacrifice one case, it's brought essentially to the melting point, and through some magic of software, the machine will know exactly how much to back off from that near melting point to give you optimal settings. So just know there are multiple types of annealing machines out there. Here at Ultimate Reloader, we exclusively use inductive annealing equipment, and we use the Annealing Made Perfect equipment because we feel like it's best in class. Okay, so with that, let's do a setup for 308 Winchester. Okay, so for a particular annealing session, we need our machine. I've got this turned on. This is just how it boots up. We've got clean 308 Winchester brass. I have one of those here so that you can see. We also need the appropriate pilot. That's number 11 for 308 Winchester. You can go to the Annealing Made Perfect website to see which pilot you'll need for the particular cartridge you're going to anneal. Then we've got the grip and we've got the shell holder. And this is just a way for us to hold on to the brass and transfer it without getting burnt. So we'll go ahead and we've got our grip set up here, install the pilot, and then we're going to start with analyzing, and that is a part of what's called Aztec, the software technology that can analyze a case. So the pilot is 11, suffix is going to be A on this one. And so we can go ahead and put our case in, start analysis. It's bringing it to the melting point. It's discovering the properties of the brass. And now we've got an annealing setting. And so if we say use that code, you can see here, we've got the case neck kind of sagging and drooping a little bit there. We can go ahead and anneal our first case. So all we have to do here is hit start each time, or we can have it start automatically. See, we're smoking a little bit there. So we'll turn automatic on. Why not? I mean, if you're gonna do a bunch, see how it sensed the case there and started? Pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll basically anneal as many cases as we need to. We'll put them into a metal container. Some people like to use mesh baskets, and we'll need to let that cool off before we lube and then size the cases. So that's all there is to it. There's also a device called an amp mate that sits on top of the amp annealer. It uses a case feeder and it completely automates the process. So we have full videos on all of that, and we have in-depth setup videos here as well. Fans coming on. So that's all there is to it. Okay, so now that we've seen why we want to anneal, how to set up the machine, and how to anneal, let's talk about some frequently asked questions. And so this is taken directly from the Annealing Made Perfect website, but I do want to open this up to discussion with you all. If we don't answer your questions here, either prior to annealing or you're already annealing and have questions, please drop a comment and we'll see if we can get that incorporated into their FAQ. But we'll at least address the comments in the comments section. Okay, so the first is about marks. Question, my cases are not showing annealing marks. This is the heat discoloring. After annealing, why? The reason is cosmetics are no indicator of actual annealing characteristics. In other words, you could have fully annealed cases with no heat marks on them, or you could have cases that aren't fully annealed with heat discoloration. So just disregard the heat marks. Order of operations, should annealing be done before or after full-length sizing? The answer is it should always be done before, because you are taking the work hardening out of the brass and you want to make sure that you have zero spring back, very consistent shoulder bump, and you don't want to work the already hardened brass. So we need to unharden it through annealing and then work it again, and that will help to ensure long life for your brass. Here's a common question. Will wet tumbling with stainless steel media work harden the brass? The answer is no. Okay, sizer die adjustment. Do I need to adjust my sizing die? I wasn't annealing, now I am. The answer is you should definitely check, because where there's less spring back, you might need to back your die off slightly. It's definitely worth checking. If you have a comparator tool, you can compare the base to datum before and after the sizing and see how that shoulder is or is not moving, and apply a die adjustment correction to suit what shoulder bump you want. I would recommend about 1/1000 shoulder bump for a precision bolt action rifle. For an AR, maybe something like 3 or 4 thousandths max. How about nickel cases? Can you anneal nickel cases? The answer is yes. Things might look a little bit different. You might want to reanalyze cases if you're using an amp machine, but yes, absolutely you can anneal nickel cases. Now, how about if you don't know whether or not you've annealed a case and you want to anneal it again just to make sure it's annealed? What happens if you do that? Nothing, basically. The second annealing should not affect the hardness level that would be present after the first annealing, so that is definitely okay. Neck splitting. Will annealing stop my case necks from splitting? The answer is yes, you should see much less neck splitting when you properly anneal because, again, you're not working work-hardened brass. You're not work-hardening brass that's been hardened in the firing process and so on and so forth, right? So softer brass, proper hardness brass will last longer and it will stand up to neck and or full-length sizing and last a lot more times. So that's the end of the FAQ section. Like I said, if you have additional questions that we didn't address in this video, feel free to fire away in the comments section and we'll get those questions answered. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this video helps you on your journey within or towards annealing. That's it for this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. Thanks again for watching.